moving on, you should see on your table there should be a tray with a bottle of glaze, some brushes, and a tile. The tile shows what color this will turn out to be, because it's going to look a little different when you paint it on. And you can see that this is kind of a light orange color, and when it gets cooked in the kiln, it'll turn bright orange. Okay, when you are painting, you want to be sure you just dip the tip of your brush, try not to go past that silver barrel, and I don't want to find any brushes just sunk down in here. Okay, when you're finished with the brush, kind of wipe it off and set it back in this container. Okay, and when we're all finished, the sink person will be washing these out. Okay, so let's move on and talk about things that I want you to be aware of. So this bird's nest, Mrs. Walker has glazed one side and not glazed the other side, and you can see how the glazed part is nice and shiny, and the not glazed side has this really rough, kind of scratchy, almost sandpapery feel to it. Okay, not shiny at all, so that we want to make sure we glaze every part of our piece. Okay, another example of glazed and not glazed, this turtle, he has been glazed really well. You can see he's shiny everywhere, and he feels smooth everywhere that he's glazed. This turtle, on the other hand, I think the person maybe wanted to leave this white because they wanted him to have white in here, green there. If that's what you want, instead of just leaving it rough and scratchy, I mean, this feels almost like a cat's tongue. It's not a good feeling. Instead of leaving it like that, paint it with the white glaze, okay? And then you'll get the effect that it's green, white, and green, if that's what you're going for, okay? And obviously we're not all doing turtles, but if you were. Okay, the other thing, really important thing I want to talk to you about is how far down you can paint it. So this person did a really good paint job. You can see that. They painted all the way to the edge, which is great. And the one place we don't want to paint is on the bottom, okay? If you do, this is what will happen to you. So this person did not get their pottery back because you can see that it is stuck tight to my kiln shelf. Like, I can't get that off. And I would probably, if I was going to take it off, you can see I can turn it upside down, it doesn't even fall off. If I was going to take this off, I would probably have to take a hammer and pound it really hard to get it off of there. And then it would probably break into a bunch of pieces, and I could probably use the kiln shelf again, but I'm keeping it on here to remind people what not to do. Okay, so sometimes, even when we're really careful, we can get glaze on the bottom, okay? And the solution to that, if you do get some on the bottom, is before you put it on the shelf, Mrs. Walker has some containers with little mini sponges in them. I want you to take one of those and squeeze it out, and then take the flat edge, as if this is like the kiln shelf, and put that against your piece and rub it until every part that would touch the kiln shelf is wiped off really good. Okay, we don't want to see any glaze on there. Now if you see some, like this right here is a low spot, so even though I'm rubbing this, it's not even touching that. That's because that part won't touch the kiln shelf either. Okay, so you're okay if it's a low spot. I've got a low spot here. Obviously if there was green glaze in here, it wouldn't even touch the shelf either because that's all dented in. Okay, just make sure that's the most important thing, is to get that off so that we don't have any bad things happen to you. Okay, the other thing is the number of brushes that you find in at your table. That's how many kids can be at that table, and we don't carry these brushes around. Okay, the orange brushes stay at the orange table so they don't get the colors mixed. Okay, and lastly, when you're carrying your piece around, I shouldn't see anybody carrying it like by the head or by the tail or something like this with two fingers. You want to have one hand sitting on one hand and the other hand holding onto it. If you get glaze on your fingers, it's not going to hurt your hands at all. You can wash them. And honestly, if you're using thin coats like you're supposed to be, you can do 3 thin coats on here. Each coat, as you paint it on, if you're doing a thin coat, it should dry. Like if I start over here, by the time I get over here, this side should be dry. It just really doesn't take very long to dry if you're using a thin coat. Okay, so 2 hands carrying in case someone would accidentally bump you. However, if you're moving carefully around the room, I don't think there should be hardly any chance of anyone bumping you, okay? And then cleaning up. When we're all done, the